It's incredible. This is loading. You live in, where in Delaware do you live?
Smyrna.
You do? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Are we good? Let me see. And, here we go. Okay. Let me make sure this volume is good. What is up, party people? We're 6 minutes late, and I'm going to tell you why in a second. Katie was on time, but her day was just as crazy as mine. So I'm going to give it a second for people to get on, even though I was 6 minutes late anyway. So now everyone else has a free pass to be late. But I want to tell you guys a little bit about what we are going to talk about tonight. So basically, I wanted to have Katie share her story as a client because, for one, she is a mom of 5 children, and I just got done telling her about my day, which I think you guys are going to think is very funny and very on brand. But I was just saying how I am late for everything I do, including all of these lives, and I have 1 child, and somehow she manages to stay employed with 5 children, and I totally wouldn't be able to do that. So I want to share a little bit of her background and then share a little bit about kind of how she balances things and how she has managed to not miss a workout with us since she started, which she is just like the perfect walking example of no BS. Like, you have no excuses, because if Katie can do it, anyone can. So I'm going to ask a few questions. And then if you guys have any like questions, comments, or whatever, just drop them in the comments. I'm sure she'll be happy to answer. And if I can answer anything too, then I would love to. So Katie, with that being said, give me like a quick intro on like just who you are and what your day-to-day looks like right now.
So I am a mom of 5. They are range in age from, they're 12, 8, 7, 5, and 8 months old. And then I work full time, so 5 days a week as a physician assistant in pain management. So when I'm not at home taking care of my 5 kids, I'm at work taking care of whiny, needy people all day long. So, and my involved in all sorts of activities. I got 2 in baseball, or 2 in soccer, 1 in football, 2 in gymnastics, and yeah, all sorts of stuff.
Okay, and then give me some background on like, let's rewind back to when you started and what you were feeling at that point right before we connected, and what made you ultimately reach out at that point.
So I saw a post from my friend, and I had just gotten off a 3-week stint of Optavia, where I hated my life for 3 weeks and ate those stupid cardboard bars for 3 weeks. And all it took was 3 weeks before I was already like, cheating and eating whatever. And by that, I mean binging out in the closet on Nutella. Yeah. My daughter was she 5 months old at the time, and I was just kind of sick of just carrying around that baby weight from having 5 babies. And I had tried everything in the book. I've tried keto probably 15 times. Me and my husband would be like, let's do keto, and I'd last a week before I was sobbing hysterically saying, can we go out to dinner tonight and we'll just have a cheat night tonight. I've tried counting calories, just logging my calories, but I felt like I never really knew what exactly I was doing. And in terms of workouts, I was just stuck with like the Beachbody, like 21 Day Fix. Didn't really know what I was doing. Felt guilty if I wasn't doing it 7 days a week. I had just tried everything, and I saw your post about being able to enjoy foods, and I love my wine and I love to eat and I love to enjoy foods. Like I hate, like one of the things I hated while I was on Optavia was, you know, if we went out or something and my kids are like, aren't you going to have some chicken nuggets? And I'm like, no, I got this bar. I'm like, this isn't a good, isn't a good example for these kids. So something to feel like balanced, but like in control. I felt out of control in terms of food and eating and just bouncing all over the place. And every time I would quit a different diet, I'd feel horrible about myself and like a big failure. So
Yeah.
that was what led.
Love it. And then obviously you have now experienced a reverse diet, which most people are super terrified of, but tell me a little bit about like what you felt when you started that process and then what you felt like at the peak of your reverse diet and then what your results were at that point.
Renee can attest that I was freaking out. And, you know, I sometimes am very OCD and control freak. And I was like, I'm gonna gain weight. And I'm so scared. But I loved it. I mean, I was eating food, but I felt like in control because, you know, I had the certain amount of macros that I had to eat. It felt like a puzzle at first, starting it, like trying to figure out what exactly to throw in at, you know, what to put in everywhere. But I felt like I was getting to enjoy food and I didn't feel like I was, you know, like stressing, oh my God, I'm going to overeat or anything like that. And I did the reverse. I was in reverse for probably it was about 2 months and I lost like 3 pounds during that time, but really like my body totally changed. Like I went from just bloated and uncomfortable, to like slim down and just feeling, feeling good I was eating about 2,100 calories at the top of the reverse and not gaining any weight, you know, and, you know, my body was changing for the better.
Yeah. You've leaned out so much eating more freaking food, but I want to talk about too, the shift in your workout structure and what that was like going from doing Beachbody workouts and then what you feel like now doing what you're doing.
So I freaked out the first time I was doing like the lifting workout because I'm like, I have no idea what I'm doing. I actually turned the TV on and put on a Beachbody workout. And I was like, I'm just going to do this because I know this. And I was like, no, you signed up for this. And I did the workout and I loved it. I actually and I'm not just saying this just to like make it up. For the first time in my life, feel like I look forward to working out. I feel like part of that is because I'm doing it. I was doing it 3 days a week. I'm doing it 4 days a week now. As of the past like 2 weeks, because I was enjoying it so much. And I felt like I had worked my schedule to be able to fit it in. And, I look forward to it. It's a me time. It's, it's only like 30 to 45 minutes that I take. And, half the time I have kids hanging on me and dangling off the door where I have things hanging and like throwing weights around. But, they know it's just something that I do and is part of my day. And, I have not missed a single one, but because I only have to do it 3 or 4 times a week, I don't feel like that, like, oh my God, how am I going to fit this in?
Yeah.
Like, and I just, with the lifting, I mean, it's just so much more fun than cardio. I don't feel like I want to die.
Yeah. And, obviously, now we are pretty, anti-cardio unless some of our lovely weirdo clients like to run, which we love you too. But we just don't love running with you. So I want to talk about too, like you mentioned, and I don't think you and I have ever talked about this specifically, but you mentioned that your husband did like keto and stuff with you in the past. What is his perception on all of this? And what does he do now too?
He eats whatever he wants, whenever he wants.
Right?
Yeah. There is tons of junk food in the house and snacking. Yeah. And I would love to say that also, I should admit, my father-in-law lives with us too, and eats just like that as well. Yeah. And I would love to say that, everyone's on board and everyone eats healthier, but now there's a lot of times I end up eating my own thing. What he does, like, he's totally on board with me doing it, and, has actually eaten lots of ground turkey and stuff
Yeah.
for the first time. But what he does, like, so my big thing I always do is plan my day the night before, to keep myself on track. But we are like kind of like spontaneous, like to go out to dinner, like to just randomly do things. So I always tell him, like, just tell me earlier in the day so
Yeah.
that I can kind of adapt. If you wait until dinner time to decide to go out to dinner, then I only have like a certain macros left and it's
Yeah.
harder. So, he knows, he's like, hey, can we do this? Let's do this, but I have not had to in terms of like going out to dinner, going to things. And he totally is supportive. And I think he's most supportive because he sees how happy I am and how in control I feel finally. I'm not moaning about things all the time.
And you're not eating shitty bars.
No, that was terrible.
I think that's a really important message for people though, because a lot of times we feel like we're alone in this bubble at home when we're doing something like this that maybe other people around us don't understand, especially because macros are just like this weird voodoo thing that random people on Instagram talk about, right? So that's really awesome though, that he supports you, even though he's not also doing the same thing. And even though he's not doing the same thing as you, you've managed to, when did you start with us?
I started May 30th.
Okay, so since May, as a mom of 5, working full time with a husband who's not doing the same thing as you have managed to get every single fucking workout in since May. Like, that's incredible. And I want to talk too about what keto felt like. What did keto feel like for you, first of all? And how many times do you feel like you went back to doing that diet?
Oh, I think I went back to keto probably at least 10 times, because, like one person who was like super successful with it, or I guess I shouldn't even say successful. They lost a lot of weight with it.
Yeah.
So, every time I'd feel like I was in a rut, we'd be like, let's do keto and buy all the stuff, and literally it would last like a week and I'd lose like 8 pounds in that week. And then I would be like, oh my God, like, I just want to eat regular food. I just want to eat what I want to eat.
Yeah.
And then it would all come right back each time.
Yep. So where do you feel like, obviously we're about 4 months in now, and keto lasted, well, I guess Optavia is probably your longer one. So it lasted like 3 weeks, you said, right? So where do you feel like you had that like shift in being more long-term thinking about your results versus that, like, I got to lose 10 pounds tomorrow?
I think it was, probably after a couple weeks in the reverse where I finally like relaxed and was like, okay, I'm not I'm not going to gain all this weight. I'm actually seeing results.
Yep.
I'm seeing results doing this. So maybe I should trust them, and they actually know what they're doing. Yeah. And if I stick with it, which I was afraid in the beginning, like, to get off track. Like, I even went on vacation like the second week I was doing it, and stuck with macros every single day, just because I needed that to feel in like control.
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess my life is chaotic, so it's one thing that's like, it keeps me structured, it keeps me feeling in control. Yeah. I know what's gonna happen. I'm not like, and after about a couple of weeks, then I saw, okay, what they said is going to happen is actually happening. So let's just trust them.
Right. That's awesome. And I think probably one of the biggest things people want to hear from you, and one of the biggest messages I want to send, and why I wanted to bring you on here, is you have 5 kids, you work full-time seeing patients, you are still an attentive wife. How the heck do you balance everything, and how do you structure your days and your weeks to make sure you get everyone taken care of, including yourself?
I have no idea sometimes, but what I do, my big things are that I always plan the night before, like I plan out all my meals. At the beginning of the like Sundays, I try to meal prep. And by meal prep, I'm not like making some crazy fancy meals. Make like literally actually right before I got on this call, I made a pound of ground chicken with some taco seasoning and then put it in little 3-ounce containers and stuck it in the fridge.
Yeah.
So each night for dinner, I just, I'll pull that out. But if we order out or if we go out to eat or if, something comes up, then I'll do something different. But I have that there to eat. And the same for lunch. People at my work think I'm like crazy because a lot of them are, in their early 20s and they're eating whatever they want and eating like crap. And I have my food that I bring with me every single day and every single day at work, because it's nice out. I go for a walk and I do laps around the parking lot during lunch while they're all like sitting there watching movies on their computer.
Yeah.
And then some me time too, because I listen to a podcast while I do that. And then I listen to a podcast while I do my workout. So that is, a little bit of me time while actually accomplishing stuff as well.
Yeah.
And yeah, the baby goes to bed. Actually, I'm watching the baby monitor here. She, it used to be the type, like, I'm like, oh, you got to get up early in the morning and work out. It just does not work for me. I can't do it. Yeah. So I work out after I put her to bed. And I know it used to like stress me out, but I know it's 30 minutes and then, I get to move and then I move on. So it's easy. Like, and I say, I don't know why I used to always think like, if you don't do it in the morning, but this is what works for me. So it's what I do.
No, I think that's really cool. And a lot of people do say, I don't have time in the evening, but I'm not a morning person. So when do I work out? And a lot of times I tell people first, look at the screen time on your phone, right? Because we're all super guilty of scrolling a little longer than we think we are. But you're right. It's only 30 minutes. Like what a small part of your day. And now, baby's in bed, you can check that off your list and you carved out this tiny little window for yourself a couple days a week. Like that's awesome. Do you work out on the weekends at all or do you usually knock out during the week?
I do like working out on the weekends because I am not working. So I usually work out during her nap time on the weekends. Because usually if I work out as soon as I put her down, I can guarantee at least I have an hour. I have always worked out while she slept, except for on Sunday, she did a crappy little nap. And so for the first time ever, I had to, but my husband just watched her while I worked out and it was fine. But I do work out on the weekends. When I used to do 3 days a week, I would always move that Sunday workout or that Monday workout to Sunday. Cause I'm like, well, I have a full day on Sunday. So it's a lot easier than Monday.
Yep. But love it. And then the other thing I wanted to touch back on that you mentioned was if you guys go out to dinner and just kind of planning ahead a little bit. And I think that's really important too, because people think, especially from Optavia, because you have to eat this weird fucking food out of packages and whatever kind of stuff they give you. But you're going out to eat. And I talked to one of your girlfriends who even was like, I went to Katie's house for happy hour and she had all these snacks and drinks out and she was like, hold on, you're on a diet. Like, what are you doing? And she's like, what do you mean? I can have all of this. But you're planning your days in advance to make sure that you can fit in those moments. And I think that's a really important message because people have such an all or nothing mentality. Like, oh, fuck it, I'm going out. It's Friday night. I'll just start my diet again Monday. And you don't have to do that. And that's a really cool thing.
I think that's one of the biggest things I've learned from you is like, even if like the few times I've gone off my macros, I'm like, okay, it is what it is. Just, it's not the end of the world. Before I used to be like, well, this is ruined, this is done. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think when you get your workouts in so consistently and you're so on point all of the time, that when you do just have a moment where you're like, today's just not an on point day, or you spur of the moment had a date night or whatever the case is, it's okay because you're on point all the rest of the time. And I think that's that balance that people are looking for, but that all or nothing up and down craziness. They're just like, fuck it, I'll start again later.
Yeah.
And I think too, when you're on a restrictive diet and you go into fuck it mode and you binge, you feel like you have to restrict again.
Yes.
But that's a really important lesson. I know that's something that I learned in the past where I would be like, all right, I'll just do an extra workout on Monday because I had a really shitty weekend or whatever. And it's really cool when you just go back to eating 2000 calories a day after going a little bit over, and it's okay. Like everything works out.
Always used to like be all good during the week, and then the weekends I would feel like I went wild, eating whatever, doing whatever, and then I'd feel like, oh, I failed again, and then you start back. And now I'm like, even on the weekends I do fine because I put my wine in my macros.
Yeah. Track that first when you wake up and you're good. Yeah, exactly. I have a couple other things that I was going to mention, but I'll just throw out now while we're on here. If you guys have any questions, you can drop them in the comments and we'll make sure we hit them before we wrap things up. But I wanted to ask you this too. Obviously you have more time with us, but I wanted to just ask what you feel like your biggest takeaway from all of this so far was. Like, how do you see this helping you 5 years from now if we're not working together anymore?
I feel like, I can continue to balance things. I feel like just through this, I've learned so much about protein, where to get in protein, and carbs, and that carbs are not the devil. You don't have to try to cut them out.
Yeah.
When I first started, I was like, oh my God, I can eat this rice, like this is crazy. But I feel like I've just learned how to balance, and just learned that one bad thing, one mistake, one bad day is not going to ruin everything, and just keep on going. And
I love it. No, I think that's awesome. And then I wanted to ask you too, so a lot of your kids, obviously you have the baby, but a lot of your kids are in grade school, right?
mm-hmm.
Okay. And then in terms of your mornings and meal planning, like how do you navigate making sure your stuff is ready to go, but also getting them to school on time and feeding them and keeping them alive? Because that is our job, right?
So I plan ahead. This week, I don't know. This week I'm a little overdoing it on yogurt for some reason for myself, but I try to prep it all ahead of time the night before. I plan out what I'm going to eat. I have a little drawer in the refrigerator where all my stuff goes, and then I just grab the things for me, and then I run around the house waking up all 5 kids, and then I have to run around the house again to wake them all up again because no one actually gets up, and just I don't know. I just somehow get them all up, get them all fed. They eat simple, stupid stuff like waffles and stuff like that in the mornings, but half the time, some of them like to get the breakfast at school too. And then they stay here. Luckily, I only have to take the baby out of the house with me in the morning to take to daycare. The other ones stay here and get on the bus. But
yeah, love it.
Just lots of running around.
Yeah. Do you use a planner? Like, what do you do to map out your day? Or are you just like genuine super mom and you keep somehow 5 children in your brain?
Oh, I try to use a planner, and it lasts for like a week or 2 at a time, or I have to bring it with me. And so then it just all ends up in my brain, and I just somehow try to remember it all.
You are a monster.
Just keep repeating it all to myself.
Yeah. What
our gymnastics, we got this.
Yeah. So you always bring your lunch then. So you always kind of plan your meals ahead, map them out, pre-track them, and prep them, right? For your weekdays. What advice do you have? And this is my last question, then I'll see if anyone else has anything, but what advice do you have for a mom who is watching this or might watch this later and thinks like, I'm too busy, I don't have time to do this right now?
That you could always make time. Like you said, off the phone a little bit, stop the scrolling times. But it's for, you're doing it for yourself, and you got to feel good about yourself and got to feel confident. And it's good for your kids to see you in control, and just, I don't know, it's made me a happier, more confident, comfortable person. So I feel like good for, and it's good for my kids the same. They all at various times come down and work out with me, and by work out with me I mean like lift the 2-pound weight every few minutes. Yeah, I feel like it's good for them to see me working out and see me consistent with something and sticking with something. And if you stick with it and you see the results, then it makes you want to continue it. If you're not seeing results, you're not, if you're going up and down and all over the place, then you don't want to continue. Or if like Octavia and you're eating a bar for every meal, and I don't like to eat the same things all the time, so I always change up my meal prep and just change it around. So to all those moms out there, you can tell I have ADD. I'm like playing with the drawer in front of me. To all those, like, just do, just take the time and just do it. And once you get in the habit of doing it, like, this is what I've told my friends I've joined, like, it gets easier. The first week or two, I was freaking out constantly and messaging you guys, and like, probably not the nicest person, because I felt like I was freaking out because I didn't know what to do. And at that point I was like, I want to tell me exactly what to eat. But now I realize, no, that's not good. Like, I can eat and do whatever. I know what foods I like, and I don't want someone to tell me, what my day should consist of. So it's, that's really great too. I do have the freedom to change things around, and sometimes at the last minute, like I still have ice cream bar left to eat today. So
I love it. No, I think that's a great message, because so many people do say like, is there a meal plan, or do you tell me what to eat? And I'm like, no, you need to eat the foods that you like. Lord knows y'all don't want to eat some of the weird shit I come up with. And I can't cook, so I don't have fancy recipes on a meal plan to give you. And nobody wants to eat chicken and broccoli. But I think that's important, because that's why you have the freedom to go out to eat, because we don't tell you what to eat. You make your numbers work. But it's funny, I do remember back to when you started and us texting late at night one night. I want to say it was like a Sunday or Monday or maybe Tuesday. And you being like, what the fuck am I doing?
I don't know what to do. I just want someone to tell me what to do. But again, that failed on everything else is because they told me what I had to do, and I being the OCD was like, no, I don't want to do that anymore. And then so now I can do whatever I want. And I don't like to cook either. I hate cooking. So all my foods are super, and I think that's probably makes it a lot easier for me too, is all my foods are super simple. So it's just easier for easier in terms of time, and I just make it work.
It makes it so much easier to track too. I mean, I'm really big on like bulk meal prepping, so I do the same thing you do. I'll make a big pan of ground turkey with taco seasoning. Yesterday I made my husband Instant Pot buffalo chicken for the week, and he was like, oh, this is so good. And I'm like, it's literally 3 ingredients, but whatever you say. I'm like, you're welcome. That's like one of 3 things I can cook without burning the kitchen down.
Every time I'm eating ground turkey with the taco seasoning, my husband's like, that smells amazing. I'm like, okay.
Literally turkey and taco seasoning, but you do you. Cool. Well, I'll ask, we have quite a few people on here, but I'll ask one more time if anyone has any questions, and then I'll let you go eat your ice cream bar. And I will actually, while I give it a second, I'll tell you guys why I was 6 minutes late, because I think it's really funny. So today was our orthodontist visit day, and Mason had to get his expander put in because we've had the spacers in, for 2 weeks. Whole braces thing, which it's so funny when we were there today. I was like, this still feels so archaic. Like, how has this not changed since I've had braces? So he went to school mind you, he was sick over the weekend. He went to school, picked him up, went to the orthodontist, took him back to school, came home for an hour, went back and picked him up from school, brought him home, took my husband to his golf league, came back home, took Mason to his baseball game that took an extra like 40 minutes because Mason was pitching and that was not a good fit. So the game was crazy long. And then I had to pick my husband back up from golf league and come home. And then my dog shit all over my brand new, beautiful living room rug. And I hear my husband shampooing it right now. So that was my day today. So, but I'm still here, even though I'm 6 minutes late. And I think that is a really roundabout way of sharing Katie's message, is that you just show up and do the shit you got to do anyway, even when life is crazy. Even when it doesn't feel good and you don't want to do it. I would have loved to just come home, not wash my face, gone right in bed, turned on some shitty reality TV and gone about my day. But instead, I am also going to eat one more snack before bed. I'm going to wash my face. I'm going to read my Kindle because I got a new Kindle this weekend. And tomorrow's a new day. And I think that's a really good message, and why I wanted to bring her on here, because just 5 kids, you guys. And some of you say you don't have time for this shit. Like, I don't want to hear it. Truly, I don't. Yes, we have Jessica on here, who is a newer client, and she is in her first week. She has 8 children. And let me tell you, she is another super mom. She also works full time. When I asked her genuinely on the sales call, I was like, before I even talk to you, I need to know how do you do this? Like, I have forgotten Mason's baseball games. I've forgotten his appointments. Like, I have one child. I don't know how you guys do it with 5 and 8. So Jessica, you are an absolute champion. Katie, I tell you all the time, I pump your head up a little bit. So hopefully, like, I truly am bamboozled sometimes when Renee texts me and is like, I don't know how she does it. And I'm like, she fascinates me. But we love you so much. And we're so happy you're here. And I'm so happy that you're feeling good and you're finding balance in your life. And I think that's what we want for you guys ultimately. So any last things you can think of?
Oh, I am just so happy for you guys. And I tell everyone about it, and just so thankful for you guys and how I know it sounds so stupid and cliche, but it really did change my life. Like, I feel in control of food and my body finally.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. And honestly, that's all I really want for anybody. It's not even like crazy weight loss results. I don't care about the physical transformation. I just want people to feel good in their body and not feel like food is the fucking devil, because we either indulge in it or we avoid it. Or both. And I feel like food is meant to be indulged in, right? Like, it's a social thing, but now you know how to fuel your body and make yourself feel good. And you know when it's okay to just say fuck it for a day. And I think that's really cool. So all of you that are on here, and I know a lot of people have come and gone, and this is great. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you have any questions or comments for me or for Katie or for Renee, who is her one-on-one coach, please drop them in the comments. I'm sure she's happy to answer in all of her free time that she has. But I will let you go have your ice cream bar. And thank you so much for coming and hanging out with me on your one evening free
sports free evening of the week.
Love it. And I survived my one of 2 sports nights this week. So we're all good. You enjoy the rest of your night. You guys have an awesome night, and I will talk to all of you soon.
Thanks.
Bye.